What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Let's Build the U.S.S. Voyager Season 1, Episode 13. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, help the main supporting channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Today we're going to be working on continuing to fill in our lower hull, specifically the belly of the ship, and then also the sides and top of the lower hull. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We've got about 18-minute episode. So I'm going to be picking up on our cut line here, and we're going to be doing a pattern of 2. And I'm going to continue this up until believe it or not, until we reach our lip of the back of the side profile outline of the lower hull. Got a few more rows to do. It's always a good idea to know where you're going with it, so that's why we're building that out. And you could say I went right up until I got to the lip line, and I backed up so this way we can count out just how many rows we're going to be adding on. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and a pattern of 2 going with the cut line. But remember, I'm not going up further. I'm stopping right at this point where we're at the lip of this outer frame. And then from here, it's going to be relatively simple. We're going to go with a cut line on the other end of the same row that we're on, and we're going to repeat the same process again. What I'm basically doing is we're wireframing it out. This is more or less what our template's going to be. It's going to let us know exactly where we need to go in with the cut. I do this for a lot of my builds, believe it or not. We've done this on the Enterprise D. We do it several times on Voyager. I pretty much do this for all of my builds, wireframing them out. That's why I say planning your ships out ahead of time is nothing but a good thing. You want to go in and fill all that in the middle, going with your cut, and now we're going to start to flesh out our sides. So remember, you're just going with a pattern of 2. You can't make any mistakes here, as long as you're following the template that we've put in place. I'm going to let some of this write out so those of you that need it can get an idea of what you really need to do. But this is relatively simple at this point. It's not super hard. See, that block there is going to be an L shape because we're going with the cut. This is where I always try to go with my cut lines, because again, doing this, you're getting an idea. If you follow your template, it guides you in the direction that you need to ultimately go. But here's the thing too, you don't have to copy verbatim what I have here. If you want to do a pattern of 3 and then go with your cut, do that. Do whatever works for you. You can make variations with this build. Just because I'm doing this pattern doesn't mean you have to follow it exactly. This tutorial is just here to help you out and give you guys ideas as far as what you could do, but there's 1,000,001 ways to build this thing out. Even when I built my Enterprise D, going through the rebuild process, I didn't follow every single step that I did in Season 1 of it for the rebuild intentionally, so I could show people that you don't have to follow these verbatim. There can be variations here and there. I think the main thing that's important here is that as long as you're following the steps that I'm giving you, you can make subtle changes to it if you want to, and still end up more or less with what I have. We're looking pretty good. Except I gotta fix all that on that row right there. And we're just going to be building this all out until we get up to that last row on our template. There's not really much more I need to really say about this, because it's a fairly simple process in what we're doing right now. We're just following our pattern. That's why I say that if you're having a mistake with this, you're finding that something's not matching up, it's more or less because you're not following your pattern. But again, you don't have to do a 2x2. Now, I wouldn't do a 1x1, to be honest with you, because I feel like the angle would be too sharp. You might be able to get away with a 3x3, but bear in mind, the more rows you add to each layer, the more you're stretching out the underside. So that's why I'm going with a pattern of 2, because what I'm doing, I'm going back and I'm looking at my reference material. I'm looking at my 3D model. I'm looking at pictures of Voyager, specifically in this area. This doesn't stretch out too much. So this area is similar to a galaxy class and how it's shaped. Doesn't arch out very far. You can see I'm closing in our middle back, prepping all this out. And we're just going row to row. Just making sure that we follow our cut. No mistakes can be made as long as we're doing that, and we're in good shape. Once we get the shell of Voyager done, that's when we're really going to start rocking and rolling with some of the changes that we're going to be, well, not changes, but updates that we'll be making to it to get the build closer to what it will ultimately become, like I showed you in the tour episode. Because one of the problems that one of the things that you'll notice that is a problem right now is that the lower part of, the whole lower hull is just a little bit too beefy. We are going to fix that. We're going to fix all of that, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. It's really not going to be hard. It's really just going to be taking away some layers and building it a little bit smaller. But sometimes you just kind of have to build out your shell to see what you're working with, to see what else you need to do. That's why I say it's so important sometimes. I mean, you just got to throw something down and see how it looks and start playing with it. It's almost like thinking of it like this, that building with blocks, it's not so unsimilar to like working with clay, because you're trying to mold it in a shape to resemble your reference material. And this is why I always say that it's important to have that reference material, because having those photos to look at, having that 3D model or a physical model, is going to help you to make the ship come out even better, because we're not relying at this point on our memory. So we look at like artists and things like that. Some of the best artists that are out, like comic books, for example, like Alex Ross, he's one of the best comic book artists. Or like Todd McFarlane figures. Not so much the artwork, like he has his own style. I don't know if he'd be regarded as one of the best artists, but his figures are. And they both share that same mentality, that Alex Ross on the drawing side of it, he uses photo references to build his stuff out. With Todd McFarlane, with their figures that they make, they use photo references and they just keep working with their figure until it looks like the photo. And that's really what we're doing here. We're just looking at our reference material, trying to match it up. But sometimes there's a trial and error period, because this is where I say, like, sometimes when you build out a 3D object in Minecraft, it either doesn't come out the way they expect it to, or maybe there was somewhere that you might have miscalculated. And that's what's going to happen here, where after we get all of our lower hull built in for the lower section of the ship, that we'll notice ultimately that I miscalculated and that the ship is too hefty. But This is ultimately going to end up being a good thing because I'll be able to show you guys how to fix something like that. This is why I say some of these mistakes that subtle mistakes I'll make when I'm doing my builds are so vital, because I'm trying to show you guys how you can build these things out yourself. Now you can see that we've finished building out the lower hull of the belly. Now we're starting to shape out further the upper part of it. And I'm just going with my cut line. I'm going with my cut line on the wall, and I'm also going with my cut line on our outside lip. You can see I'm just bringing it up to that cut line. That's why I say planning things out ahead of time. You may not notice this stuff when we're in the early stages of the build, but if you go through this tutorial series, you're going to notice that I'm planning ahead out all these things. And that's why a couple of times here and there you might see me redo an outline for either the saucer or maybe the engines or whatever that may be. I might make a couple attempts at it, and that's because I'm trying to anticipate how those cut lines are going to go and trying to envision the shape that the ship is ultimately going to take. Now, what we end up having here once we have the hull fully closed in, it doesn't look bad, but the problem is that it's just going to be way too bulky on the sides. And this is why I say that going back and checking your reference material, double checking your work, because what we're going to need to do is make the ship flatter on the sides. She's way too round. And I've already spoiled it, like as far as us fixing that, we'll have to shave off a couple of rows, but we're not going to be doing that just yet. You want to still build this stuff out. This way we can both be at the same point. Now, with that being said, maybe you like a heftier version of Voyager, and if you do, listen, build it out. Do whatever makes you happy. This is why sometimes we're like, people will say, oh, it doesn't look 100%. It doesn't have to. You know, just have fun with this build. That's the main focus of this, really, is just to have some fun and maybe to do something to take your mind off of things. This is one of the big reasons I play Minecraft, that just kind of help me relax, because when I'm sitting here building something, even when I'm doing my videos, that it's occupying my attention and keeping my focus on this, and I don't really have time to think about anything else other than what I'm doing in that moment. And that in itself can be very relaxing, because it's taking your mind off any other stuff that might be going on. So that's a big reason why I, build on Minecraft. I just enjoy it, and I enjoy the challenge in it. It's a lot of fun. I never in a million years saw myself when I was younger building like with blocks and stuff like that, and then eventually when I started building on Minecraft and doing the Enterprise and everything, I've had a ton of fun with this. It's been very, very rewarding, even though like it can take me a little while sometimes to get these builds out. Other times I tend to get them out pretty quick. Like right now I'm working on my Enterprise A 1.1 for once we hit 1,000 subscribers, and if you want to get some updates on that, you need to join the Discord, because I'm not going to be doing any update videos out on that, I don't think. I'll be waiting until we hit 1,000. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I might actually put one update out before we hit 1,000 subscribers. We'll see. But I won't be putting a tour episode out, and I won't be starting that tutorial until we do hit 1,000. So I'm currently working on that ship right now. Whenever I'm done with it, I'm pretty much just going to sit on it until we do. But I have other stuff that I'm working on too. We've got the Excelsior 2 class that I'm working on. That's going to be the tutorial following Voyager. I've also got the Enterprise D Season 2. I even have a poll right now on my YouTube channel. If you want to get involved and vote and letting me know if you want to see Season 2 of Voyager, you need to go on my YouTube channel and click on the Community tab. You can vote right now to let me know if that's something that you want to see. We'll be fleshing out the interior on Voyager and wrapping up some loose ends that I was not able to do in the first season. So definitely check that out. But really excited. There's a lot of cool stuff that I have coming up on the YouTube channel. Now, see, yeah, And this is a thing too, like I want to go back into the build. From the side right now, this doesn't look bad. And I didn't even notice that Voyager ended up being too hefty until I had a lot of this closed in. But what I'm just really looking at right now is my cut lines and shapes, and the angle that I'm looking at it, it doesn't look bad. I don't think I really noticed that I made the lower hull too wide until I had all this built in and I looked at it from the back view. And you can probably start to see it now if you stop right now and go to the back of the ship and look forward. You're probably going to notice that heft on the side. But like I said, we'll fix that in a future episode. Now, if you notice here that we're just going to be moving right along here. We're just going with our cut line. And we're literally just continuing this pattern on. It's all at the same height, but we're just following our cut and following our pattern. Now we will be blending this in more, but I need to get a rough template up so that I can manipulate this a little bit more. Alright, we're looking pretty good, so now we're just going to continue this on right to the next cut. We really should be rocking and rolling from here, because when you think about it, we've actually gotten a decent part of the ship built out, with an exception of having to make some adjustments to the lower hull. The saucer, we're not going to have to make as many adjustments as you think. Really, the main area that we're going to have to fix is the shelf on which the bridge is going to sit. That does look a little bit wonky at the moment, but we are going to fix that. This is one of the reasons why I'm putting out my tour episodes out first before the tutorial even starts. So this way you guys can see what the finished build would look like ahead of time, rather than waiting and just going off of the thumbnail that I have with the first episodes. I think that'll be a really good way to show where it's going to go. Because one of the things I notice that when I'm doing my episodes, sometimes either whether it's if there's a small mistake that I made that we just haven't got a chance to get to, or we're just not moving along as fast, you guys got to realize that I've only got so much time in every episode that I can do stuff, because I try to I don't want to overstay my welcome with my tutorials. Even right now, like, I still feel like they're a little bit longer than they need to be. This is something that I'm actively working on getting better at. Like, even right now, all this stuff, like, to be honest with you, I don't know if I necessarily need to show all this. Because right now, we're literally just going with our cut line. A lot of you are probably just going to be able to blow right through all this and won't have to watch all this out live. This is something I'm really trying to eliminate or cut down on. You guys really saw it with the saucer. I think the main reason why I ended up showing this part of it in the tutorial was that I just wanted to make sure that everybody was kind of on the same page, I think. But then again, I could have very well have done this in the same way that we built out the saucer. Just building out an initial template and telling you guys to follow it, because that's literally all I'm doing right now. But we'll get there. Hopefully, as we go, I'll get a little bit better at doing these tutorials to streamline them a little bit more. Because I would really love to be at a point to where I have just enough of these episodes to where I can do what I need to do, and showing you guys the build process of it, mistakes, everything, so people can learn from it, just like I do when I build, but not overstay its welcome with the number of episodes and the length of them. So we'll see. This is just going to be something that's ongoing. That doesn't look too bad, though. You see, we're just following our cut line here. But we've got a decent amount of work done. I think that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. Definitely love hearing from everybody. Be sure to go under the community tab on YouTube, so this way you can vote on Voyager Season 2 if you want to see it. Also, I have more small builds that are going to be coming up, mini-series builds, and I need build suggestions. So this is specifically related to small build ideas. If there's some stuff that you guys can think of that you'd like to see me do, drop a comment below. It does not have to be Star Trek. It could be anything nerd or pop culture related. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for me today. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week, and I'll catch you in the next episode. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Let me know in the comments section.